Hello, good afternoon or good morning. Welcome to another technical discussion for or under the Coastal Inlets Research Program. Today we'll be presenting on the state of the Coastal Inlets Research Program, the CIRP. My name is Marissa Torres. I'm your current program manager of CIRP following Tanya Beck's departure this calendar year. So what we are going to talk about today, so this is something that I've been thinking about for a while now, and of course it's not exactly what I originally envisioned it to be. It is a portion of what kind of the conversation that I wanted to have with those PIs as well as the district folks on our PDT, and after on several PDTs. After some conversations or some email back and forth with some maybe newer folks or folks newer to the Corps or are maybe only just getting involved with CIRP and other tactical research programs under ERDIC, I thought this would be a good time to just kind of give an overview of the problem that CIRP is addressing, essentially why the program exists, how the program works, how it functions, how the money works and everything, and then a look at the CIRP's portfolio and an outlook for this year and future years. So the main problem that we have is we have 153 federal coastal inlets and navigation projects, and that contributes about $1 billion a year to operate and maintain that inlet channel, which includes its associated jetties and breakwaters and adjacent beaches and inland waterways, all in and around the inlet. And coastal inlets are vital for our military, commercial, recreational navigation. They are closely connected with to the beach stability and estuary health, and they are central for water, sediment, and nutrient exchange. Essentially, where there's an inlet, there's CIRP. Maybe we don't have all the data yet, but that's something that we are paying attention to as a collective program. So we have, by we, I mean CIRP. CIRP has about 3 main focus areas, and they're as follows. So advancing the state of knowledge and our engineering technology to better predict future channel shoaling and stability. So we're looking at these channels. We want to understand where the sediment is going, where it's coming from, how can we detect, monitor, predict, and work with that coastal inlet. What do we need to do to maintain the navigation channel, but also our coastal projects? So those coastal navigation structures, maybe beach nourishments next to or near inlets and the like. We do so by providing quantitative, practical being one of the key components there, quantitative, practical, predictive tools and engineering guidance to help district engineers on the navigation and FRM side, also coastal storm risk management, all 3 business lines, be able to help them do their jobs more or less. And get the most reliable and accurate estimates that they need to reduce costs of operations and maintenance, whether that's on the dredging side, maintaining navigation structures, monitoring beach nourishment projects, and so forth. And then on the other side is the analysis. So there's the practical side, and then there's more kind of the looking forward and analysis type things, including quantifying potential unintended consequences, identifying mitigation strategies, and understanding our future conditions for coastal navigation, and including all those components. And that kind of These focus areas, this problem, of course, has been around for a while, and it has some historical roots. So these focus areas, what we need to do for the Army Corps in managing the nation's waterways, coastal and inland. This was a topic of conversation in the early days with the Coastal Engineering Research Board, or CIRB, that is now the BSER, Board of Coastal Engineering Research. And this was a slide from Dr. Walmsley's presentation at the 100th meeting of the BSER in San Francisco last year. And it was interesting to see how early on in that trajectory of coastal R&D that CIRP was located. So CIRP, Coastal Inlets Research, was essentially founded from these board meetings, and it started in 1990. So that's kind of where that space is, and how CIRP fits into the or where in a timeline of events CIRP as a program is fitting into these other programs coming out of ERDIC to support Army Corps missions. So it's kind of the background of CIRP, and here is I'm going to get into kind of what is the CIRP cycle. So CIRP is a tactical research program. I'm sure you guys have heard that term more frequently in the last couple of years than in other times. So tactical versus strategic R&D, that's been kind of a focus at ERDIC and USACE with our USACE Civil Works R&D strategy, kind of breaking those two things down. And I've provided a snippet from the Civil Works research page, kind of outlining what strategic is versus tactical and innovation there to the right. What tactical means is that it's an SON driven, so our statement of need driven research program. Statement of need is, insert another buzzword here, is requirements trace, is now what we are focusing on is feeding back into the why are we spending money on certain things. This is the requirement, this is the need. And so the statement of need or requirement is a bridge across the experiences of the field practitioners, the strategic vision of the USACE headquarters, and our communities of practice, and other supporting and the supporting research programs. So CIRP is one of the supporting research programs that helps to deliver on some of these product-focused solutions for needs identified from the field. So in the tactical space, we rely on SONs. We're product-focused in delivering a tangible software, a tool, whether it be guidance in an official engineering manual, or as our technical reports or technical notes providing that guidance, needs that require a little bit more R&D. And they're typically 1 to 3 year projects, sometimes pushing out to 4. So how that works is in a proposal cycle. So that proposal cycle starts with the SON submissions. These are usually due at the end of the year. Usually it's December 1st this year because of the lapse in appropriations and government shutdown. That deadline is pushed to the end of December. So you still have time if you've been thinking about one. So that starts in, say, for example, FY0. That moves on to the RARG, our Research Area Review Group, for the different business lines. So that's your navigation, your flood risk management, your environmental. I think those are the 3 main ones. And those groups meet and they rank statements of need. That occurs in late winter, early spring. And then we'll have a request for proposals internal to ERDIC and from PIs that may have an idea or a concept that could meet those highly ranked needs. We'll do an internal request in early summer. We'll review and select through the summer, and in theory have a new start or a new start project, or maybe it's a follow-on effort that's going to start in the next FY. That is how the project cycle works. That's how the funding cycle follows your standard appropriations, but it's usually just 1 year money. We don't get no year money. And for the most part, our funding level is about $2 to $2.3 million. That's, relatively speaking, from an individual standpoint, wow, we're rich, that's amazing. From a programmatic standpoint, in this organization, that's not a lot to solve these problems, especially spanning these different areas. And the complexity of the problem is growing while the time to complete the project is shrinking, and our attention spans and our attention is also shrinking. So this funding level is, if we compare that to the historical funding level since about 1990. So I have records going back in our justification sheets. It's all publicly available information. Going back to 1998, historically, so CIRP has been funded about $2 million per year since then. And then following that red line was the line of the president's budget, the PBUD, from 1990 to 2025. In 2019, around there, we see a surge in this green line. So this was a surge in congressional appropriations that funded other work packages and programs through CIRP. Such programs include the US CRP, which just had their monthly meetings before this call. So that's the US Coastal Research Program. So CIRP has funded US CRP and some other like programs through congressional directives, but as a result of an increase, so with an increase in carryover, so that blue line also goes up, and that is due to the late receipt of congressional dollars in that green line, because they don't usually come until summer. Our base program, our red line in the president's budget, is actually impacted and was effectively eliminated for a few years. And we made do with other repurposed funds and congressional dollars, but it did effectively stall progress on some efforts in the program. So if there has been a lull in, I don't want to say productivity, but more or less just continued delays. It's been a tumultuous couple of years, I think, for everybody, but this is, in particular, CIRP has been struggling because of these financial events that didn't look good on paper, even though there was nothing that the program managers could do about it. So historically, either way, all that to say, we're back up to our funding levels of $2 million, because we don't have congressionally directed dollars anymore, for right now, at least. And the one thing to note as well is that dashed black line shows the combined amount of that president's budget, your congressional dollars, and your carryover in 2024 equivalent dollars. So by that, in 2024 dollars, in 1998, we were funded at $4.5 million. But our general base program has not seen an increase since its inception. So we do the best we can with what we have, and we have some excellent teams working on the problems, the needs that you've addressed over the last couple of years, or the needs that you've submitted over the last couple of years. So if we're looking at the CIRP today, in FY26, we are expected to receive $2 million this FY. With that, we'll have about 10 and a half continuing work units with no new starts. So this is the list of a list of the projects in the portfolio. I don't have the full list of all the SONs actively being addressed. I just hadn't thrown that together yet. So my thought process when I kind of took on the acting program manager role from Tanya and then moving forward is because of the historical funding issues in recent years where we had that zeroed out pre-bud. There were a lot of tasks or smaller efforts that ended up getting pushed or removed because there was no longer funding or people to accomplish those. But they're still important to meeting and satisfying the statements of need. So my thought process for FY26 and into FY27, because FY27 is also expected to be a lean year for research. I don't anticipate any new starts. Instead, I anticipate making sure that there's enough funds to finish the products that were started and maybe come back to some of those other products or tasks that we couldn't get to in the last couple of years because of the funding shortages. So we have been chronic PIs within CIRP. They are resilient and very resourceful. With what we have, we've still been able to put together some amazing products going into 26. We have a few projects expected to wrap up, including most of, if not all of Inlets Atlas 2.0. We have our next gen coastal volumes, really pushing out some of their final products this year, and hoping to make some significant advancements towards our hazardous shoals. We have 2 work units in hazardous shoals. Let's see, my notes here. So there are 2 complementary projects in hazardous shoals and solving the problem of detecting and monitoring inlet shoals in both the low and high wave energy conditions. And the low wave energy conditions using a multispectral method, using the normalized difference water index, and that's with Justin Schaller and Alex O. I'm not going to try to butcher your last name again. I apologize. And then the satellite-derived method for our high wave energy environments, and that is using an operationalized version of COSAT, and that's with Ian Connery and Shannon Brown. Our next gen coastal volumes is kicking butt. They are developing a flexible volume change framework to improve characterization and quantification of beach volumes for sediment budgets, project monitoring, and O&M. They've got a space-time cube workflow that's coming out. They're addressing bias, elevation bias in geospatial data sets, and more. And so Scott Spurgeon and Charlene Sylvester are leading a strong team to the finish line there for next gen. Inlets Atlas is finishing out strong this year, and will likely have some products pushed out into FY27 due to, again, the lapse in appropriations this year and some of the struggles that we've had. I'm just hoping that we can retain people and maybe, hopefully one day soon, hire more people to be able to transition this knowledge base to, as well as assist with delivering these products. In terms of other numbers, we do have a pretty strong CMS reimbursable base. I think we have 5 active CMS reimbursables. Mitch and company and the CMS team can tell me if I'm wrong there, or if what the actual number is. And that is something that CIRP tracks. CIRP does support the publication of those final technical reports that come out of the reimbursables that the districts don't really have the time or money for after all the modeling is done. So we'll try to get those case studies out. And it's always a it's always a good relationship with the districts, and having us work on a CMS problem, we can identify areas where CMS needs improvement or maybe some bug fixes. How do we improve the GUI through, or its use through SMS, the Surface Water Modeling System? Do have strong ties there, and that's kind of a continuing effort. So CIRP continuously supports the development where needed for CMS and CSAT especially. CSAT usually we'll try to share that burden, financial burden, with Ned Mitchell's, the Coastal Navigation Management Portfolio. I think that's what that one is, the nav portal, and Ned Mitchell's brainchild that turned into a program. So that continues development where we can. But we need statements of need every so often to continue those developments, to know where we need developments from your experiences in using these products and tools in the field for your studies. That helps us identify where we need to focus our research efforts next. And then we have our technical discussions. We have 3, this makes the 3rd, and we hope to have many more. I'm thinking about switching up how we do, well, that's not true. I'm thinking about bringing in guest presenters for CIRP, whether it's former CIRP PIs and having them talk about their active work, just to keep those technical discussions going. Either way, this is what CIRP is looking like today, and this is how we're continuing. And this will likely look the same for FY27, about the same. So we're kind of in a hold and survival mode. So in terms of the historical CIRP portfolio, there are a number of tools, models, physical software, or web applications that have been CIRP funded and have come out of this program and out of the needs that have been identified from the field. And this is a nice screenshot that I took from one of Tanya's previous presentations. She's all over it. We have, and highlighted here, we have some snapshots from CMS, our inlet geomorphic evolution tools, including SandSnap, our CSAT, and like vessel navigation performance, vessel wake prediction tool, and our under keel clearance quantification, and all of these things. All of these tools that you use that you may or may not use on a daily basis, monthly, project specific. These are what's coming out of CIRP and what has historically come out of CIRP, and in some ways what CIRP is responsible for, well, is responsible for maintaining in some way. If something breaks, let us know. Do we have the capacity and money to do that, to fix it right away? Maybe not, but that could be a need. Just an example from CMS and GenCade, case study from a reimbursable study, I believe, in Absecon Inlet. What is it? Can someone tell me how this is pronounced?
Absecon, you're right.
Absecon.
It's Absecon.
Wait.
I'm sorry. Sorry to give you conflicting information. I'm pretty sure it's Absecon.
Absecon. All right. I guess it's a tomato situation. Whoever lives near there, well, Shannon's out in New Jersey, so if the locals say Absecon, I'm gonna go
It
with
is like
Absecon.
an hour from me. Yeah.
Okay. it's a good source. So Absecon, for example, the types of analysis that is requested or what our capabilities are for those both those short-term and long-term. Short-term and long-term morphology, especially or in and around the beach and dune evolution and that shoreline. One, I wanted to highlight that work previously done by Nick Cohn and his team in creating Aeolus to provide the quantification of the wind-driven sediment transport and morphology change. It has already been implemented in CMS and working with CMS within the last couple of years that was integrated. And now going into FY26, we're bringing back that funding for SBAS to incorporate Aeolus into SBAS for SBAS Aeolian in our sediment budget calculations. That's going to be done by Pete Karaskevich and Sean McGill. So I'm excited to bring that back. And then there's so many geospatial tools, and I don't know all of their exact names and functions in Arc Pro, but I stole this slide from Charlene, and there's just a sample of some of the data products coming out and will be available in Inlets Atlas. These are some of the products that will be able to use in Inlets Atlas. I think some are already available in our 1.0, and if not already, these new ones will be available in the 2.0. So not very technical information. I just wanted to give a broad overview in case anybody was unfamiliar with the CIRP and how projects and money works, between what the relationship or the connection between USACE and ERDIC is, and how to maybe get more involved, or if you have a need, how to have CIRP address it if it fits within the mission space. So you can always learn more. We have an excellent website where most of all of this information is mostly from, where we'll have the technical discussion seminar. The archive from previous years is on there. You can see previous slides and videos from past presentations. There's this really cool, if you go into the products tab, I should take a screenshot, that products tab with the gear on the website. You can go down to, I think, maps, and there's the coastal inlets map, and that's this map shown here that has an ARC representation or an ESRI representation of all the coastal inlets that are federally maintained. And we also have a publications map. So that is all of the projects, if they worked on a case study or a specific structure, inlet, beach, area, we tried to link that spatially. And so you can click on where in an area has previous research been done or previous work been done, at least by our CIRP PIs. You can stay connected with us. You can reach out to the CIRP website if you don't have a specific PI's name. Otherwise, just stay connected with the PIs and researchers that you already know, and if you want to broaden your horizons, we can link you up with other PIs as well. And then just a reminder, if you're unfamiliar with the Statement of Need website, there it is, and those are due at the end of the month. That's kind of all I had for you today. I'm happy to keep open discussion, answer any questions. Yeah, thank you for your time.